If you have a narcissist in your life, that means when they are in the devaluing stage, or they're in that stage where they're looking for a negative reaction, they will try to start an argument. Arguments in every relationship are normal. They're healthy to have an argument. But there is such a thing as an unhealthy, counterproductive argument, and that's exactly what it is like when you have a narcissist in your life. And the hardest thing about having a narcissist is there's nothing you can do to prevent them from starting an argument. But you can use different tools and tactics to make sure that you don't get sucked into the argument. And then you wind up winning in the end. And you can do all of this without actually arguing. So that's why today's video, we're going to talk about how to argue with a narcissist and actually win. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and if you're new here, welcome. I am a life and relationship coach, and on this channel, we get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. Let's jump right into today's video. So the first thing we have to talk about is understanding mindset when you're in an argument. So let's talk about the narcissist mindset. They're very delusional. They come up with crazy scenarios about you, about other people, and they have this very false narrative of who they are. So we as healthy people, our first reaction is like where are these accusations coming from? And so your first reaction will be to try to set them straight, to try to talk about your truth, what you feel, what you believe, your feelings. And in a healthy relationship, that's normal to try to talk to the other person about what you're feeling and what you think. But with a narcissist, it doesn't exactly go the way it would with a healthy person. Narcissists project all of their shame and all of their negative view of themselves onto you. So that's why they always try to make you out to be the bad guy. So the narcissist, they're in a delusional state of mind. You're more in reality. If you are a healthy-minded person, you can use evidence and facts to back up what you're talking about. The narcissist cannot. They are in always a delusional state where they think there's this certain narrative and you are this certain person. The next thing is perspective. They only see their perspective. You can see different perspectives if you're someone who has a healthy mindset. They can only view it the way that they view it, and they can't see outside of themselves. You can try to view it from different points of view because you have more of that empathy and that ability to understand. They lack the empathy, so they cannot see outside of themselves and see a different point of view. And your goals are different as well. So their goal is to hurt you and get a reaction out of you. They are not able to communicate what they're actually feeling, so they're just going to take low blows and take digs, and they don't like that you didn't agree with them or you didn't do exactly what they wanted. So they are going to tear you down. And this is because they're trying to fit you in that narrative that they try to portray you as. So they want you to act out of character, so it reaffirms that belief in their mind that you are this terrible person, you're the bad guy. And that's why reactive abuse happens, because you're reacting to the abuse, and then they can say, oh look, you're the person that I said you were. So they are just trying to hurt you at this point. Now if you are a healthy minded person, your goal is for some sort of resolution or for some sort of understanding. You want to be heard. So as you can see, you have two different mindsets. And what happens when you have two different mindsets? You wind up just going in circles. In a normal, healthy relationship, it's normal to want to see each other's point of view. That's not what you get in the narcissistic relationship. You want them to not only see your point of view, but to come to some sort of solution. They only want you to see their point of view, and they also want you to feel terrible about yourself. So if that's the case, then how do you handle this? The first thing is that you need to accept them how they are. They're going to say absurd things. They're going to say things where you're going to want to correct them. But you have to accept that they are not in a space where they can hear you out, nor can they change their point of view. They are fully incapable. They have like a brain defect. They cannot hear what you are saying. They will always just dismiss you, belittle you, no matter how much you want them to be a healthy person where you can converse with them. They will never be that, and that's the thing that you have to come to acceptance. There's absolutely nothing you can say to change them or their ability to have a conversation. You have to understand, you cannot reason with a child, which is basically that's what they are. They're children stuck in their abuse. And you cannot reason with someone that cannot self-reflect or cannot think outside themselves. So once you accept how they are, you'll be able to let go of that pressure and let go of that expectation and hope that you can have a normal conversation with them. The next thing is, don't tell them your feelings. Please, never ever tell them your feelings. Like I mentioned before, when you are in healthy relationships, it makes sense that you share your feelings. They share their feelings, you share yours, and then you talk out your feelings and you come to some sort of solution. That is not what happens with the narcissist. They use your feelings as a weapon. They use it as a tool. They use it as a way to use it against you. They will use it as a way to belittle you, say you're too sensitive. They'll use it as a way to mock you. They will use it as a way to further manipulate you or a way to just hurt you in general. And another thing you have to understand is the more you try to explain yourself, the more you overly explain yourself, the more you overly talk, they're getting an ego boost. Because subconsciously, they're like, oh, I'm able to get through to them. Like, I am getting a reaction to them. Because you're taking the time of day to share exactly what's going on with you, and it's more information they can gather to manipulate you further. And you're just over here like begging them, please believe me, but they're not capable. And then you'll notice you'll wind up taking that in other relationships where you overly talk, overly explain yourself, because with other people you're like, oh, please believe me, but they already believe you. But you're just so used to that narcissistic dynamic. The next thing that's super important is that you need to stay in your reality. They will try to take you out of your reality as much as possible. They're gonna, use word salad where they say a bunch of things, like they're saying, you put the car keys on the roof 3 years ago. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my mind. Or they're gonna say, you didn't defend me against your mom. Like, they're gonna bring up all these other things when really the argument was about the fact that you accidentally said something that triggered them. Like, they'll do things like that. Or they'll try to tell you that you did this certain thing and you did it on purpose, even though they have no proof that you did it on purpose, but they really believe that you did it on purpose. They will just constantly try to gaslight you, and they will try to change the reality of what's going on. And that's why it's so important. You have to remind yourself they are not normal, and nothing they say is trustworthy. Absolutely nothing. You cannot believe a word out of their mouth. They are always constantly trying to create these false narratives. And that's something that you always have to keep in mind. And you have to turn towards yourself and say, I know my truth. I know my reality. I believe what happened. And you have to tell yourself they are mentally unwell. And you want to say these things to yourself over and over again. Because if you don't, then you're going to try to seek the validation of them and try to get them to believe you. It's so important that you make sure to validate yourself through this entire time, because when you validate yourself and you know your truth, you know your reality, you won't feel like you need them to believe you. You won't crave for their approval or for them to change their mind, because you already know, you feel it. And you were instilling that trust in yourself rather than trusting them, which is what they're trying to do by gaslighting you. And also another part you have to understand is when you immediately go to defend yourself, there's a little part of you that accepts that it's true. And then they subconsciously, like I said before, they subconsciously get that ego boost because they know, they're like, oh, they do believe that it's true. And so then they'll run with it. If you don't defend yourself in the way that they're wanting you to, then they don't get that validation. It says a lot more about the person that is saying those things than it does about the person who does not go on the same level as that person that's making all of those accusations. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring you on their level. If you don't go down to that level, then you're winning. So you don't want to defend yourself in that way, where you go on their level and you keep trying to defend yourself. Which goes into the next point. How do you defend yourself? So once you are able to stay in your reality, it's a lot easier to respond to them rather than react to them. Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to poke for a reaction. If you don't give them that emotional reaction, they're losing. It drives them nuts. And so I have a whole video on responding rather than reacting, but it's basically just where you take the emotions out of it and you respond in a non-emotional way. So one thing is, you don't want to call out the bad behavior of saying like, oh, you're being really mean, or like, look how you're behaving, because when you do that, they will just turn it on you and be like, you're causing me to do this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. So there's no point in calling out the bad behavior. You would do that with someone who self-reflects, but calling it out, it does nothing. It just results in you having more abuse. So you don't want to do that. One way you could call out the bad behavior is because they care so much about their image. This feels a little evil, but it's worked. You could say, oh, I wonder what people would think if they saw you yelling right now. Or I wonder what people would think of X, Y, and Z. That can get two reactions. One, it will cause a narcissist to shut the hell right up because they care so much about their image. Or the narcissist will go on a little bit longer, but then they'll shut up because they're so afraid of their image being tarnished. That's one way that it works. Another thing is sometimes you have to have a certain conversation with a narcissist. Like, let's say, you know, you co-parent with a narcissist, or there's some sort of money situation you have to talk about, whatever it is. Like, sometimes you have to have a conversation, but they're being really disrespectful in those circumstances, or really just any circumstance. You could tell them, hey, listen, I'm willing to have a conversation, but if you're going to behave like this, I will not have the conversation. Or if you keep treating me like this, I will not have the conversation. And then they keep yelling, then you just walk away. Which that also really triggers a narcissist because they do have a fear of abandonment and they do have a fear of not having that supply. So if you walk away, that's you're more in control and they are losing that control. So you always want to remain in control. So you can let them know you will have the conversation, but they have to stop acting that way. That is a way for you to stand up for yourself. You're not necessarily correcting their behavior where you want them to change and be a different person. You're correcting the way that they treat you, and that's what you really want to focus on. With a narcissist, you mainly want to focus on letting them know what you will not tolerate, because they will not change. It's just they will stop doing things based on how much you are willing or not willing to tolerate it. And then, like I said before, you can always walk away. You always have that option. So go somewhere else. If they're chasing around the house, which has happened, I know it has happened. If they're chasing around the house, you can either leave the house, or you can go in another small room where they can't really fit, or just go somewhere where they are not able to follow you around anymore. And they'll eventually cool off and just, you know, forget about it because they're a child that's throwing a tantrum. But you need to make sure that you stand up for yourself, where you don't allow this mistreatment, but you're not trying to correct their behavior so that they're changing as a person. You're just correcting the way that they talk to you or they treat you. So what do you guys think? Leave it on the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. If you have a narcissist in your life, that means, oh my god. I just watched back that clip where I freaked out because then all of a sudden nothing was going on, and then all of a sudden it started claiming fire. Just like, you suck, hair. Like, you're just not being happy today. That was big. Bye guys.